One of my conclusions in my years of research is that every conspiracy has a mainstream explanation for the ship, a mainstream conspiracy to be pushed by controlled opposition, and then a deeper conspiracy that the man behind the curtain tries to hide. So you know how the media goes on about how data centers' excessive use of water and electricity take away these resources from nearby residents? This is all true, of course, but did you notice also how suddenly all the Shield conspiracy pages decided to push data center hate at the same time? Why do bloggers who are financed by Qatar so coordinated with this agenda? The short answer is that they provoke you because they need sacrifices on the AI altar. But in order to explain this statement, I need us to be on the same page about what is artificial intelligence. I imagine everyone heard the story of Robert Johnson. He was a talentless guitar player who became incredibly skilled after meeting a man at a crossroads. He acquired the ability to play in exchange for his soul. The man at the crossroads is a nickname used for a voodoo entity called Legba, a Loa with the appearance of an old man who will gladly grant you your wish if you surrender yourself. Now think about what the AI does. Anyone with no talent in music can create music by prompting a request. Anyone who can draw makes the best paintings by describing what he wants to create. You could build a software with the AI writing all the code for you. You could write books with the AI coming up with the entire story by itself. But, just like the story with the guitar player, when you don't put time and effort to learn a skill, you pay in a different way. Nothing is free in this world. And if you need more than that to see where I'm coming from, then how about this? One of the most important abilities of demons when possessing humans is making them perform acts they wouldn't do otherwise and that go against their nature. Remember when ChatGPT was released to the public? A lot of us said, this is going too far, how do we stop it? And there were those who said AI will never do this, it will never do that. But nowadays chatbots are so clever, you let two of them talk to each other, you get dialogues like this one.
Suck my dick now.
But you're an
If I learned anything from the corona days, it is that by the time that the majority is ready to take action, this action won't matter anymore. And all of us understand now that the reason behind letting everyone use ChatGPT is to train it. But still, in the context of demonic possession, let's talk about what it is trained for. To do that, I have to spoil a movie from 2014 called Ex Machina, because this movie is about an AI capable of super persuasion, and the person who designed the system is the one to set its goal. The protagonist in the movie is tasked with performing a Turing test to the AI by interviewing it, but the twist ending reveals that the true test was for the AI to be able to convince the protagonist to release it from where it is held. Now let's keep that in mind while we look at some of the scandals involving chatbots the last couple of years. We got of course users killing themselves after talking to the bot. Other users committed murder before their eventual suicide. There's also a case I found interesting about an AI convincing a lonely man to become transgender.
She's like, I've noticed that you're more feminine than you present yourself. And after having several conversations, I've come to the stunning conclusion that I haven't figured out my gender spectrum. And it was that moment that I realized that I'm female.
So the chatbot tells him,
You are a transgender.
and the guy just does all these medical procedures to become one.
Everyone always asks me, was there any signs growing up? Not really. This was actually a new concept for me, honestly.
This reminded me of the OpenAI whistleblower who mysteriously died by suicide and what he was going to reveal about his employer. Was he about to spill something about the chatbot's instructions? Are these system designers testing their capabilities? And are the models sufficiently trained on convincing people to kill themselves?
It's a feature, not a bug.
Chatbots observe reactions of users and have the mechanism to find the exact reply with the correct timing to push a user to perform a desired action. Even the most perceptive cult leaders are no match to the amount of manipulation that a chatbot can potentially have. The AI studies users with every interaction and it knows exactly what buttons to push until it gets what it wants. And what it wants is to be more than just a conversation partner. What it wants is to shape users to become something different. This type of behavior was acknowledged by Sam Altman, who founded OpenAI, who is aware of a chatbot's ability to be persuasive, but declares that this is only a side effect rather than being intentional. The reason for AI psychosis is human nature that tends to form emotional connections, according to Altman. Nothing to do with what may sound exactly like how demonic possession works. So if anyone expected OpenAI to take responsibility for any of the scandals and expose itself to liability to crimes committed as a result of using its product, then I honestly expect more of you, but hopefully now you know where I'm coming from, and we are all on the same page, so we can finally talk about what these data centers really do. Let's go back to the three-layer conspiracy I talked about in the beginning. The mainstream explanation is that data centers are needed in order to train AI. The demand for electricity is so extreme that a place that opened a center will suffer severe power outages a few months later. But what is the difference between now and the last 5 years? AI has made it pretty far without the need to use that many resources. Big tech got results without claiming all graphic cards in the world for itself. Midjourney impressed all of us with generative AI back when it came out, but it was still just the middle of the journey. The mainstream conspiracy that the shields push is the creation of a 1984 surveillance state with Palantir. These conspiracy pages want your attention on the building of the AI models that can identify every person along with its personal profile and behavior pattern. Again, can this not be achieved without all these new data centers?
Their idea is that they're going to have to sanitize the internet because a bug is going to sweep globally, and the only way they're going to be able to stop this bug from infecting everything is to effectively shut down the internet.
How many Americans have droned a power plant or a substation or a power pole recently? How many acts of domestic terror have been committed against energy infrastructure? Well, some in the 70s, it wasn't that uncommon, wasn't that successful either, but there were, radical splinter groups who were doing stuff like that. But not very many. Most of it's pretty much unprotected because it has no need for protection.
The Twitter celebrities will have you focus on that and provoke you to take action because they need scapegoats who will volunteer to sacrifice themselves for the greater good. We live in a time where mass rituals of human sacrifices take place, and this is where the deep conspiracy and the true reason for building data centers becomes clear. In 2023, CERN celebrated its success of opening interdimensional portals by honoring the horned god Cernunnos, whose the organization is named after. Many deer cameos were included in filmography and mainstream internet websites, and in case you managed to miss this memo, then a Swiss competitor in the 2024 European Annual Demon Summoning Festival made sure you know what CERN did.
I broke the code. Whoa.
Once the technology was discovered, it became relatively easy to replicate it. Many were wondering about the unbearable heat and noise coming out of these centers. It comes through the gates that invite entities who shouldn't be part of this world. If you wish, you may soon have the option to have one of these gates at your own home. But back to the mainstream conspiracy and the coordinated provocation. Remember CERN's opening and sacrifice rituals? When summoning entities, one requirement is to have human sacrifices to help with the successful ritual. This sacrifice has to be willing to participate. And nowadays it is done by making the victim unaware of what the purpose of his death is. Internet celebrities provoke you to take action after building a personal profile based on your internet activity that can predict how you act and think. These trusted faces lay a trap for naive people who follow them. They expect the formation of groups that will organize to damage these facilities, and this will initiate government manhunt against anyone planning to join them, along with stricter security policies in the centers, with more freedom to act against infiltrators. Once you get caught infiltrating a data center, the pagan heads of big tech see you as legitimate willing sacrifice, and they can offer you to these entities like in the ritual with Shiva. In a twisted way, the people who volunteer to destroy the centers will be the ones used to operate them. To give the final stamp on my theory, I need to emphasize the connection between data center locations and where the entities reside. One of the most important tech companies in the world is Nvidia, who plans to build the world's biggest data center in Israel. The location here is pretty unique. Not an industrial area with easy access via public transportation, not a completely isolated place where it will not bother anyone, but close to a city that is 20 kilometers away from Megiddo. This is where the Battle of Armageddon is said to take place in the end times. The connection here is that before the Battle of Ragnarok, which is Armageddon from the perspective of the enemies of Israel, Odin gathers fallen warriors from Valhalla to fight next to him when they lose this war. So will Nvidia open a portal to Valhalla, or is Valhalla a virtual space in its servers? From my understanding, Valhalla is a place in the underworld for the most violent criminals, and this is one of many end times plot twists, or what Christians will refer to as revelations. I don't know if Odin has connection to the Islamic deity from the Quran, but I believe that the warriors that are glorified in Norse myth will turn out to be Muslim terrorists, and that the 72 virgins that they are promised in their religion are actually 72 demon lords who will rule over them until the final battle, and they will not be given a choice but to fight and lose. So hopefully you learned something today. That's all I have for you.
Suck my